Y'all, what's the deal? Y'all, what's the deal? Y'all, Rich Sharper tapping in TNN Trap News Network. Back in the same, like cook cracking the same here at TNN Trap News Network. Good news you can use. Good knowledge, though. You ain't finna get nobody's collegito. You ain't finna get nobody's collegito. You ain't finna get nobody's collegito. Big dog, tap in with the tap in. When you tap in with that tap in, man, it's more than TNN. It's that TNN Trap News Network. It's that news you can use. That knowledge you ain't finna get nobody's college, man. If you want to be a Trap News Network live correspondent, 6, go home. Can hear you, dog. You want to be a Trap News Network live correspondent? Tap in with us, tap in with us, tap in with us. Everything we got going on here at TNN Trap News Network. It's that news you can use. That knowledge you ain't finna get nobody's college, big dog. We finna slide into this without no further ado or don'ts, man. We finna jump into this rap daily. Let's get into this content without further ado or don'ts, man. We finna slide into this. Let's go.
Most influential figures in Los Angeles. He's a former leader of the Rolling 60s neighborhood Crips who transitioned into the music industry as an executive and manager. Most notably, he managed Nipsey Hussle early in his career. In March 2025, Big U got hit with a 43-count federal indictment, accused of running a mafia-like enterprise with charges including murder, racketeering, extortion, and fraud. The feds claim he was using his charity, Developing Options, as a front for criminal activity. Tremaine Loose Cannon Williams is a 30-year-old music producer and rapper from South Central Los Angeles who worked closely with Nipsey Hussle back in the day, producing tracks like Bringin' California Back. Following Nipsey's tragic murder in 2019, Loose Cannon transitioned from behind the boards to stepping...
It's crazy that people actually believe Loose Cannon's lies, and this guy actually thinks Loose Cannon is everybody who he lies about being.
...into the booth himself. He got scooped up in the same federal RICO case as Big U in March 2025. And then there's Z-Here Brick Baby Mitchell, a rapper and No Jumper podcast host also affiliated with the Rolling 60s. He grew up in the same Crenshaw and Slauson area as Nipsey and has connections to artists like Kid Ink and Casey Veggies. Unlike the other two, Brick Baby was arrested for being a felon in possession of a firearm rather than the RICO charges, but he's locked up with them regardless. Now, initially, when word of the jail fight started circulating, many assumed that it was beef between these three homies. But according to a YouTube video breaking down the incident, that wasn't the case at all. The situation was actually them against us, meaning Loose Cannon, Brick Baby, and Big U were actually fighting together against another group in the yard. Reports mentioned that
this is absolutely barnacles. Barnacles. This is like the most barnacles thing that we are about to hear in a long time. I'm going to start off by saying this. The thoughts and opinions of this video are not the thoughts and opinions of us here at TNN Trap News Network. News you use. Now, you can't get nobody's college. Let's get back into it.
Despite their personal differences, when it came down to it, these three put aside their beefs to stand united against what appears to have been members of a rival gang, most likely Bloods.
It was more of a other side against them situation.
Oh man, really?
Crazy.
This is particularly interesting because there's been mad tension between these three individuals, especially between Loose Cannon and Big UC. Loose Cannon had previously made some explosive allegations against Big U, claiming that Big U had foreknowledge of Nipsey Hussle's murder before it happened. In a January 2024 interview on the No Jumper podcast hosted by Adam22 and Whack 100, Loose Cannon dropped a bombshell. He alleged that Big U called him saying Nipsey had been killed before the murder actually occurred.
So he FaceTimed me and stuff like that. He was like, Nipsey just got killed. I'm like, 6 I didn't hear that. So I hang up with him. I called Nipsey, and I'm like, Nipsey, what's up? He was like, oh, what's up with it?
Nipsey answered.
Nipsey answered. He answered the phone.
According to Cannon, he then contacted Nipsey, who was still alive at the time, only to learn of Nipsey's death approximately 30 minutes later.
30 minutes later, the homies blowing me up like they just killed Nipsey.
This led Cannon to suggest that he might have been able to prevent the tragedy if Big U had been more forthcoming, implying Big U's possible complicity in Hussle's death. I probably could have stopped it, was what Cannon
And I could have stopped the World Trade Center had I been on that flight that day. Okay, Loose Cannon.
reportedly said, reflecting his belief that Big U's alleged foreknowledge could have altered the outcome. Cannon went even further, claiming that Big U and Hussle had a strained relationship, mentioning a physical altercation that resulted in Nipsey's brother, Black Sam, being arrested for discharging a firearm. According to Cannon, this incident was linked to a diss track Hussle made about Big U, highlighting their deteriorating relationship. Big U didn't take these accusations lightly. He sent a cease and desist letter to No Jumper in March 2024, denying the claims and seeking to halt their spread. Adding another layer to this complex narrative, Cannon's twin brother, Jermaine Williams, appeared on the Streets and Scholars podcast in 2024, asserting that the alleged phone call from Big U never occurred. He accused his brother of lying about multiple aspects of his life, including his marriage and music credits.
Loose Cannon lied so much about his life, he lied that his twin brother was older than him.
Casting significant doubt on Cannon's credibility. So as you can see, there's been some serious bad blood between Loose Cannon and Big U. But when it came down to it in the jail yard, they put aside their differences forces and stood together. One of the most shocking revelations about the fight is that it wasn't just a one-and-done situation. According to the YouTube video, the altercation started in the courtyard, but then continued even after the participants were put in solitary confinement, known as the hole in prison lingo.
But that don't even make sense because we've been hearing Brick Baby and Loose Cannon on the phone. So they're probably not in the hole, considering that they keep calling into No Jumper. And like Brick Baby now has a Friday show with Flacco, it seems like. So I can't really see where they're in the hole at. That doesn't really sound like solitary confinement to me.
That shows just how deep the animosity ran between the two sides.
That's deep right there.
I think the Fed set that up because they want them to all be friends or kumbaya. I don't know. I told them, I said, you better shut. I don't care if you fought with you or not. I don't care.
The fight reportedly involved 7 individuals on the side of Brick Baby, Loose Cannon, and Big U against 9 opponents on the other side. This wasn't just some push and shove incident. It was a serious physical confrontation that resulted in a total facility lockdown, preventing inmates from accessing the yard. What's particularly wild about this whole situation is that Brick Baby and Loose Cannon were scheduled to have bail hearings shortly after this incident. Getting involved in a prison fight right before a bail hearing is about the dumbest move you could make if you're trying to convince a judge to let you out. It shows a lack of self-control and suggests you might be a danger to the community. Exactly what prosecutors argue when trying to keep defendants locked up. Some sources have speculated that injuries from the fight could actually work in their favor at the bail hearings, potentially showing they were victims rather than instigators. However, there have been no confirmed reports of specific injuries resulting from the altercation. It's important to note that the jail fight between Big U, Loose Cannon, Brick Baby, and the other group is separate from another conflict that occurred between Loose Cannon and Brick Baby themselves. According to reports, there was a dispute between the two within their cell or module, where Loose Cannon allegedly confronted Brick Baby. This led to a temporary separation, but they
Call him Brick Baby. That's hilarious.
resolved their differences, with Brick Baby moving to a nearby cell temporarily. Reports indicate they are now on good terms. This whole situation highlights the complex dynamics at play in the federal detention system, especially when it involves high-profile gang members. The fact that Loose Cannon, Big U, and Brick Baby, despite their personal differences and the serious allegations between them, united against a common enemy, underscores the importance of gang ties and the code that many adhere to behind bars. The rolling 60s Crips and Bloods have a decades-long history of conflict, dating back to the formation of these gangs in the 1970s. Their rivalry has been marked by territorial disputes, competition over drug trade, and matters of gang pride, resulting in countless acts of violence over the years. In jail and prison environments, these gang affiliations often become even more important as inmates rely on their gang connections for protection and support. The fact that Big U, as a former leader of the Rolling 60s, along with other Crips-affiliated individuals like Loose Cannon and Brick Baby, would band together against Bloods members is consistent with these entrenched rivalries. What makes this situation particularly noteworthy is the personal animosity that exists between these individuals, especially speaks.
It's amazing that people hear Loose Cannon's situations and stories and believe that they're actually true. You feel me?
To the power of gang loyalty at Otis Bantam Correctional Center in New York, involving rapper Bobby Shmurda, demonstrating how serious charges, including murder and racketeering. This incident might simply add to the mountain of legal troubles he's currently dealing with. For Brick Baby and Loose Cannon and their affiliates, the Nipsey Hussle connection. Nipsey Hussle was murdered on March 31st, 2019.
This is a wild conspiracy theory. Like, absolutely barnacles.
Outside his Marathon clothing store in South Los Angeles. He was shot multiple times by Eric Holder Jr., who was later convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to 60 years to life in prison in February 2023. The official motive established during the trial was that Holder was upset after Nipsey mentioned rumors that Holder was a snitch, one of the most serious accusations in gang culture. Eric Holder Jr., known as Shitty Cuz on the streets and Fly Mac, as an aspiring rapper, was like Nipsey, a member of the Rolling 60s neighborhood Crips. According to court documents, Holder and Nipsey had a brief conversation in the parking lot of Marathon Clothing, during which Nipsey mentioned these snitching rumors. Though witnesses described the conversation as calm, Holder apparently took great offense. One of the key misconceptions about the murder that Big U has addressed is the timeline of events leading to the shooting. Contrary to popular belief that Holder left the scene after their conversation, went to change clothes, and returned to carry out a premeditated murder, Big U claims the sequence was different.
He never left. Wait, they say he went to the car or something.
No, sir. See, and that's where people get it messed up, and that's where it get convoluted. They had words.
According to Big U, after the initial conversation with Nipsey, Holder didn't leave the area. Instead, he went to nearby Master Burgers and ordered food, where he was captured on camera exhibiting erratic behavior. Big U describes Holder as sitting in the restaurant shirtless, with a visible mental disturbance. After eating, Holder then carried out the shooting, contradicting the narrative that he left, changed clothes, and returned specifically to kill Nipsey.
You know what's crazy about this? There will forever be so many conspiracy theories and the whodunits and the who, what, when, where, whys, and hows. Until we get official documents on this, and this officially comes out some sort of way where people start talking who are actually involved, it'll always be exactly what this is: a bunch of conspiracy theories and twists and turns based off the lies of idiots like Loose Cannon.
He went into Master Burgers and ordered a burger. Ordered a burger after they had words, and sat in there on camera, walking around. And you can see the derangedness in his head. He sat in there with his shirt off, then walked out. So he didn't leave like they make you think he had words with Nip.
This detail is significant because it speaks to the question of whether Nipsey's murder was a premeditated hit or the result of a personal dispute that escalated. Big U argues that Holder's behavior, having a public argument, staying in the area, ordering food, having his girlfriend there, doesn't align with the actions of someone carrying out a planned assassination.
But also, something else that didn't make sense to me, the hit didn't make sense to me, because who takes this girl on a hit? And who goes, if you're going to go do a hit, if it is a hit, you're going to go do a hit.
But this is where Loose Cannon's explosive allegations come into play. In a January 2024 No Jumper podcast, Loose Cannon claimed that Big U called him saying Nipsey had been killed before the murder actually happened. Cannon says he then called Nipsey.
So with that being said, again, anybody who says Loose Cannon didn't snitch, that's clearly snitching, just throwing that into the universe.
Answered the phone, only to learn about his death approximately 30 minutes later.
He FaceTimed me. So he FaceTimed me and stuff like that. He was like, Nipsey just got killed. I'm like, 6 I didn't hear that. So I hang up with him. I called Nipsey, and I'm like, Nipsey, what's up? He was like, oh, what's up with it?
Nipsey answered.
Nipsey answered. He answered the phone. And I was like, I love you, cuz, or whatever like that.
Did you tell him to call you this guy? Or you didn't even mention it?
I didn't mention it. And that's what f***ed me up, because my cousin is Nipsey baby mama. You hear what I'm saying? So it was like, I could have probably stopped it, all right?
When asked why he didn't warn Nipsey about Big U's call, Cannon explained that
because it never happened, you can't warn somebody about something that only happened within your own mind. Because it didn't happen, and Loose Cannon's a flu flammer, a skulldugger, and a larcener. You just made that up.
the relationship between Nipsey and Big U was inconsistent. Hot one minute, and then they'd be cold the next minute. He didn't think much of it at the time, but later realized the significance when he received calls about Nipsey's actual death just 30 minutes after their conversation.
30 minutes after you get off the phone with Nip, he get killed.
Yeah, I got it.
So you think he hit you a little too early?
Yep, he hit me a little bit too early.
Cannon elaborated on the
And again, when Loose Cannon is sitting here and he's able to get called a snitch, or he's working, he's an informant, these are the interviews we're talking about when we say he told on himself, or he implicated himself in situations he didn't have to implicate himself in, and he just is an overall big fat dummy. You know what I'm saying? That's just pretty much what he is.
shooting, claiming that Holder, referred to as Shitty, returned multiple times to shoot Nipsey, first shooting him, going into an alley, returning to shoot him again, and then coming back a third time, knowing about the murder before it happened, implying a deeper conspiracy.
Yep, he hit me a little bit too early because the homie Shitty doubled back 3 times. You hear what I'm saying? And first he shot him, boom, go into the alley, came back and shot him, boom.
Adding another layer to the story, Cannon confirmed there had been a physical altercation between Nipsey and Holder.
See how he just continues to just snitch more and more, just give him more and more information?
Approximately a week before the murder. He described a significant size difference between the two, Nipsey being around 6'4" inches or 6'5" inches, while Holder was only about 5'5" inches or 5'6" inches, and physically smaller. According to Cannon, this fight was related to allegations of police telling, snitching, and had created friction between them.
So at the end of the day, it's like Nipsey beat him up. Nipsey is what? It's like 6'4", 6'5". Shitty is like 5'5", 5'6". You know what I'm saying? Like frails. Like he get hot.
So there was already some.
That's right, frails with an S. Frails. Plural.
Yeah, it was already friction because of like some police telling shit.
These allegations by loose cannon suggesting Big U had foreknowledge of Nipsey's murder are extremely serious, essentially implying Big U was somehow involved in or aware of a plot to kill Nipsey. However, it's important to note that Big U has vehemently denied these claims, even sending a cease and desist letter to No Jumper over them. Further casting doubt on Cannon's allegations, his own twin brother, Jermaine Williams, appeared on the Streets and Scholars podcast in 2024 and stated that the alleged phone call from Big U never occurred. He accused his brother of fabricating this and other aspects of his life story. Besides Loose Cannon, other figures have made similar allegations against Big U regarding Nipsey's murder. SKG, a former death row artist whose name stands for Shuge Night Girl, has been particularly vocal in accusing Big U of orchestrating.
When people using them AI voices because they don't want you to know who they are because it's somebody who you really know, and they say Shug instead of Shug, Shug's Night Girl, Shug's Night. Yeah, they don't want you to know somebody you know. You know?
Orchestrating Nipsey's murder.
There's talk about Big U that he was involved in Nipsey Hussle's death. I mean, have you seen any proof that would confirm that?
For me being over and growing up in that area, I'm going to tell you guys this. He definitely has something to do with that. Wow. And justice for Nipsey.
In a March 2025 interview with TMZ following Big U's arrest on RICO charges, SKG celebrated his incarceration and accused him of being involved in Nipsey's death. She claimed justice for Nipsey was coming and that people would be shocked when they learned the full story of Big U's alleged role in Nipsey's death.
I know that justice is coming for Nipsey. And I think people are going to be shocked once they see everything that really happened and how he played a part in it.
SKG alleged that Big U was jealous of Nipsey and that both she and Nipsey had similar negative experiences with him. She shared a personal story of being lured to Nipsey's shop where Big U allegedly assaulted her while she was pregnant, claiming that Nipsey and his friend Fats set her up for this beating. SKG described a history of conflict with Big U, including an incident where he disrupted a business meeting at her workplace after learning she was moving funding for a community project away from his organization. She portrays Big U as a violent, vindictive figure who terrorized her and others in the community. However, it's crucial to note that like Loose Cannon's claims, SKG's allegations remain unproven. Big U has consistently denied any involvement in Nipsey's murder, and Eric Holder has been convicted as the sole perpetrator of the crime. The legal process has not connected Big U to the murder, and these allegations largely exist in the realm of social media, podcasts.
Yeah, Nip was definitely not 6'5", but you know, numbers are hard for Loose Cannon.
And public statements rather than in court documents or official investigations. In a 2021 Drink Champs interview, Big U addressed rumors about his involvement in Nipsey's death, stating, "We ain't got no beef, period." He highlighted his close relationship with Hussle, noting they remained in contact until Hussle signed with Atlantic Records. Big U pointed to his appearance in Hussle's Ain't No Rap In As video and his promotion of Victory Lap on social media as evidence contradicting claims of animosity. He criticized those spreading conspiracy theories, especially given Holder's conviction, saying, "How you gonna have that and got a man in jail and be like, oh, it's a conspiracy?" The history between Big U and Nipsey is indeed complex. They had a professional relationship, with Big U signing Nipsey to Unique Music for production and co-managing him with Steve Lobel. Big U's industry connections helped elevate
Lobel. Steve Lobel.
Nipsey's All Money In brand from local to global recognition. When Nipsey secured a deal with Atlantic Records for Victory Lap, he reported management split between Big U and Steve Lobel. Critics argue.
Now, that was a crazy deal. That's what we can say. That deal was absolutely bargain. Stop. What are you doing, bro? Dog doing weird stuff. That deal was absolutely bargain for sure. And that was definitely a slave deal.
This arrangement may have been predatory, citing a conflict of interest in Big U managing an artist signed to his own label. However, no definitive evidence suggests Nipsey viewed the deal negatively, and their continued collaboration indicates a functional partnership. The truth about the relationship between Nipsey and Big U and the circumstances surrounding Nipsey's death remains complex and somewhat ambiguous. While Eric Holder has been convicted as the shooter, allegations from figures like Loose Cannon and SKG continue to circulate, casting shadows over Big U's reputation. As with many aspects of this story, the full truth may be difficult to ascertain, complicated by personal grievances, gang politics, and the murky intersection of street life and the music industry. The jail yard altercation between Big U, Loose Cannon, Brick Baby, and their rivals has sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community and beyond. The implications of this fight...
I don't think anybody actually believes that. And yeah, I clickbaited you so you can watch the video. So what? I don't think anybody actually believes that, though.
Then far beyond just what happened in that yard. It touches on gang politics, the legacy of Nipsey Hussle, and the future legal battles these men face. The ripple effects and what's next. First and foremost, this incident highlights the ongoing power of gang affiliations, even among high-profile industry figures. Despite the serious allegations Loose Cannon has made against Big U regarding Nipsey Hussle's murder when faced with rival gang members, they stood together as Crips. This demonstrates how deep these loyalties run and how they can sometimes supersede even the most serious personal beefs. The Rollin' 60s Neighborhood Crips, one of Los Angeles' largest and most influential street gangs, has a complex history dating back to its formation in 1976. With an estimated 1,600 members as of 2004 figures, the gang spans a significant territory in South LA, from Slauson Avenue to Florence Avenue, between Western Avenue and Crenshaw Boulevard. Both Nipsey Hussle and Eric Holder Jr. were members, as are Big U, Loose Cannon, and Brick Baby. The jail fight is particularly noteworthy because it occurred between members of the Rollin' 60s Crips and what are believed to be Bloods members. The Bloods-Crips rivalry is one of the longest standing and most violent in American gang history, dating back to the early 1970s. What started as neighborhood protection quickly evolved into territorial disputes, competition over the drug trade, and matters of gang pride, resulting in countless acts of violence over the decades. By 2014, an estimated 20,000
He made it sound like a crazy movie, didn't he?
deaths were attributed to the broader gang war, highlighting the devastating impact these conflicts have had on communities. In prison environments, these rivalries often intensify as inmates rely on gang affiliations for protection and support. The fact that the fight continued even in solitary confinement speaks to the
Again, nobody was in solitary confinement because they have all been on the phone. I'm not sure how much research this guy's done, or maybe he's just pushing the narrative because he knows it's going to get clicks. People like me will do reactions to it. Same way I'm going to push the narrative. I'm sorry, I give y'all a clickbait title so y'all can watch it and all that kind of stuff. But nobody was actually in solitary confinement. That part right there, that didn't quite happen, my sir.
Depth of this animosity. From a legal perspective, this fight couldn't have come at a worse time for Brick Baby and Loose Cannon, who were reportedly scheduled for bail hearings shortly after the incident. Getting involved in jail violence typically doesn't help one's case for pretrial release, as it can be seen as evidence of continued dangerous behavior. Whether this will impact their chances of release remains to be seen, but it certainly doesn't improve their position. For Big U, who already faces the most serious charges including murder and racketeering, this incident might be just another drop in the bucket of his legal troubles. However, it could potentially lead to additional disciplinary measures within the detention facility and might be considered when evaluating his conduct during eventual sentencing if he's convicted. The fight also raises questions about security measures in federal detention facilities, particularly when housing individuals with known gang affiliations and histories of conflict. The fact that the altercation continued even after the participants were placed in solitary confinement suggests potential gaps in security protocols that might need to be addressed. This incident also feeds into the ongoing narrative surrounding Big U and the allegations regarding his possible involvement in Nipsey Hussle's death. While Eric Holder Jr. has been convicted of Nipsey's murder, the claims made by figures like Loose Cannon and SKG continue to cast shadows over Big U's reputation.
Which again is directly snitching, just throw that into the universe, that for sure is snitching by, definition of, you are placing this murder on this man. This is I don't know. I'm not sure what to say.
Regardless of whether there's substantive evidence to support them. In his March 2025 arrest video, Big U specifically referenced Whack Whack Loose Cannon 600 and This Internet Stuff as being partially responsible for his legal trouble.
That's how you know he's using the AI voice changer when you say Whack Whack. Instead of saying Whack 600, that nigga said Whack Whack. That's that AI glitching on you, big dog.
Suggesting that public accusations and online discussions played a role in drawing law enforcement attention.
When they raided my houses and my property, they was asking about Whack. Whack, Loose Cannon, 600, and this internet stuff. All of y'all five.
One particularly contentious relationship in this web of conflicts is between Big U and Whack 100, a prominent music manager known for working with artists like The Game, Blueface. Their feud escalated significantly in March 2025 when Big U accused Whack 100 of assisting federal authorities in building the RICO case against him. In videos posted before surrendering to federal authorities, Big U claimed that Whack 100, sometimes referred to as 600, was an informant who assisted the FBI.
Yeah, see, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He said sometimes Whack 100, sometimes referred to as 600. Yeah, he has no idea what he's talking about. Can't take you serious, big dog. Can't take you serious, big dog. You're a vulture to the culture. You are a vulture to the culture. You just said that Whack 100 was known as 600. You are en voce to the coche, big dog. En voce to the coche.
Even alleging that Wack was actually with the police during raids on his property and had video and footage of it. Wack 100 responded forcefully during a Clubhouse appearance on March 20th, 2025, vehemently denying any involvement, stating, "Got nothing to do with Wack." He refuted claims that he was circulating legal documents or threatening Big U, suggesting other individuals might be responsible, and asserting his stance in both street and music industry contexts.
They actually describe you as a rival, basically almost somebody that they might be looking to their damn self. So it doesn't look like, but I will say some of what you may have done may have helped with the timing, right? I think you,
What's that?
I think you tipping off Big U. I think that definitely
I
helped
did
with the
what?
timing. I think you going online and saying that, and the only reason I'm saying this is that if you ever read any federal indictment,
I did what? I tipped him off?
DJ Academics accused Wack 100 of being the reason Big U got indicted, suggesting Wack had tipped off authorities or provided information. While Wack denied
Well, we know that for a fact. We know that. Now, that's what we know is true.
these allegations, the exchange highlights the complicated web of accusations and counter-accusations surrounding Big U's legal troubles. The feud between Wack 100 and Big U has a long history, dating back to comments Wack made following Nipsey Hussle's murder in 2019. Wack made controversial statements praising Eric Holder, the convicted killer, arguing that Holder was justified under gang rules for responding to perceived disrespect. These remarks provoked a strong reaction from Big U, who reportedly called and scolded Wack. By 2022,